Welcome to my video on find the measure of an acute angle, part 2. Which trig ratio can you use to find x? Note x is an angle. So we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So here's angle x. This side is opposite. This side is adjacent. So adjacent over opposite. So we're going to use tan. B. Here's the angle x. This side is opposite. This side is hypotenuse. So we have opposite over hypotenuse. So that would give us, we're going to use the sine ratio. And C, here's angle x. This side is hypotenuse. This side is adjacent. And we have adjacent over hypotenuse. That means we're going to use the cos ratio. Adjacent over opposite. And D, here's angle x. This side is opposite. This side is adjacent. And we have opposite over adjacent. So that means we would use tan to find this value of x. And we have 4 here for you to do. Pause your video, work out the answers, and press play back to see if you're right. Which trig ratio can you use to find angle x? Notice x is the acute angle, so it could be this one or this one, but not the right angle. So here we go. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. Always write it out at the top of the page when you're going to do trig. And here we go. Here's angle x. This side is adjacent to x. This side is the hypotenuse. So the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And that's, we're going to use cos. Number 2, angle x. This side is opposite. This side is adjacent. And we're going to use opposite over adjacent. And opposite over adjacent, we would use tan. Number 3, we have angle x is here. This side is opposite. This side is hypotenuse. And we have opposite over hypotenuse. And that means we're going to use sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And number 4, here's angle x. This side is hypotenuse. This side is the adjacent. So we have the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the adjacent over the hypotenuse, we would use cos. So let's continue with what we're doing. Now we'll use that to work out these problems. Here we go. Find x in each to the nearest degree. So what we're going to do, we're going to follow these steps. We're going to find the trig ratio, sine, cos, or tan. We're going to write the equation of that trig ratio. And we're going to change to the trig ratio. We're going to change to this format. Trig ratio to the -1 with the fraction. And then we're going to plug it into the calculator and get the answer. Here we go. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over the adjacent. So here's the angle x that we have. So this is the opposite side. This is the adjacent side. So we're going to use opposite over adjacent, which is cos. So the cos of x is opposite, which is 11 over 7. So to find what x is, or angle x, we would go cos to the -1 of 11 over 7. And we would use our calculator. Let's bring our calculator into play now. And turn on the calculator and clear everything. Here we go. We're going to use the inverse function. Second function, cos to the -1, 11 division 7, and that gives us the answer. Oops, I have an error. And how come I got an error? Probably, Let's try it again. Let's clear that. Inverse cos. Oh, opposite 11/7. Okay, for cos. Oh, now we wouldn't realize that I have this is a tan, and that's tan. Tan is opposite. Wonder why you didn't know the reason why this couldn't work out, so it's no good. This is a tan here. Tan is opposite over adjacent, so I have to do inverse tan of 11 division 7. Sorry about that. And to the nearest degree is 58. So, a little error, but we all make those errors, so just be careful. Here we go. And we're going to find this angle x. So this is adjacent. This is hypotenuse. And adjacent over hypotenuse, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's the cos. So the cos of angle x is the adjacent, which is 4/9. And angle x is cos to the -1, 4 divided by 9. So let's use our calculator and work that out. So we're finding the angle, so we got to go inverse cos of 4 division 9, and that gives us, to the nearest degree is a 64. This is the units, so this is 5 or greater, so we add 1 on, 64. So let's move this up so I can get the calculator into play. Here we go. Bring the calculator down. Now we're going to do C. This is the angle, so this is opposite. And this side is hypotenuse. And opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of angle x is the opposite, which is 6.3 over the hypotenuse, which is 10. So to get what angle x is equal to sine to the -1 of 6.3 divided by 10. So let's use our calculator, clear what we have there already, and we have to go inverse sine 6.3 division 10. And we have it in. Press the enter button, and I get to the nearest degree is 39 degrees. And we're going to do D. So here we go. We want D. This is the angle. This is opposite. This is adjacent. So opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent is tan. So the tan of x is opposite, which is 12, over adjacent, which is 8. So that means x is equal to tan to the -1 of 12 over 8. And we clear that, plug it in. We're looking for the angle, so we have to do second function tan, and it's 12 division 8. Close that off, and that gives us a 56. To the nearest degree is 56. So this is nearest unit, that's less than 5, so we don't change the 56. So now that I have done some, I'm going to move this up the page right to here and get you to work out some. So practice means pause the video and work out the problem. So do one at a time, and pause the video, work out the answer, press play. We get that one done. Again, do it for each one. So here we go. And we got to do SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. And here we go. We got an angle. This side right here is opposite. This side is hypotenuse. So that's opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of the angle x is opposite, which is 7 over 14. And so that means that x is sine to the negative 1 of 7 over 14. And if we clear that, inverse sine, looking for the angle, of 7 division 14. And the answer comes out to be dead on, right on 30. What about if you had 7 over 14 and you reduced it to a half? So if you call that a half, or if you call it decimal 5, it makes no difference because the inverse of sine of 1 division 2 will give you the same answer of 30. Or if you call it 0.5, inverse sine of decimal 5, which is a half, which is 7 over 14, it still gives you 30, so it's your choice. Number 2, this is the angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is opposite over adjacent, so opposite over adjacent is tan. So the tan of angle x is opposite, which is 4 over adjacent 3. So x is tan to the negative 1 of 4 over 3. So let's clear the calculator and inverse tan of 4 division 3, and we have 53-degree angle, 53.1, so the close is 53 degrees. And let's move this up and get at these two. Just again, apologize the way I'm presenting it, but I have to get the calculator to show you what's going on. So here we go. And again, I have SOHCAHTOA, so I'm going to write it down again. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. So here we go. We have, this is angle x, this side is adjacent, this side is hypotenuse, and we have adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse is cos. So the cos of x is the adjacent side, which is 6.7, over the hypotenuse, which is 8.4. So x is equal to cos to the negative 1, 6.7 over 8.4. And we plug clear it, make sure. We go inverse cos because we're looking for the angle. 6.7 division 8.4. Close it off. And what angle do we get? 37, and that's less than 0, less than 5, so it's 37 degrees to the nearest degree. And number 4, we have angle x here. This is opposite. This side is adjacent. So we have opposite over the adjacent, and that's tan. So the tan of angle x is opposite, which is 14, over the adjacent, which is 50. So x is tan to the negative 1 of 14 divided by 50. And again, clear our calculator, and we'll go inverse tan because we're looking for the angle. 14 division 15, and that gives us 43 degrees. Again, this is the ones place. This number is less than 5, so we don't change to 43. And that's finding the angle when you're given it in the triangle. This is all this that we're doing is going to be very, very useful when we're going to do word problems, which is coming up in future videos. If you like my video, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and notification bell because more videos are coming your way. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel, Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video.